Well, good morning or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this from. I hope you're doing well today. I'm excited to build this out. If you haven't joined me before live coding, usually it's just me basically practicing HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I do this regularly myself anyhow. I just pick out some project and then work on it. Exactly what I'm supposed to be doing as we get going. So as long as you don't mind being patient with me like that, I hope this will be a big help to you. But I hope you're doing well. If you can hear me, let me know. If you've got any trouble with audio or like my mic being too quiet or something like that, please let me know as well. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and jump over and let me get stuff set up here. All right, and there I am officially. So welcome. Good to see you this morning. I think my internet will be okay. I've actually moved since the last live stream and I'm like partially set up, which you can probably see a bunch of junk in the background, but hopefully my internet will be better, but let me know in the description or in the comments. Okay, well, let's go ahead and jump in. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up and move over, just remove my face here. And all right, so here we go. And like I said, I haven't looked at this yet. I know it needs to look like this. I'm guessing there's not a lot of JavaScript involved because it says it's a newbie challenge, but this is the most recent one I have not done, so I figured I would just start there. So today will be definitely more on like a beginner side of stuff. Looks like there is a data file. Whoa, that's one of my struggles with a lot of these is I don't feel like they usually have data files, so that's exciting for me, but hopefully that's helpful. Let me pop my face in there in case that's helpful to anybody. So okay, so it looks like basically I just have to make it look like that. Optimal layout, so it should have a mobile state as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. I'm trying to figure out what's in this data file first of all. Okay, well, I'm less excited about that. There's not that much going on here, but that's okay. At least they're giving me something. Maybe let's do an Astro site then, just so I can loop through one thing at least. And yeah, I say let's do that. It looks like, is this an average? Maybe 76. Is that an average of all those? It looks like it, maybe. Okay, so maybe we've got a little bit of math we can do as well. So let's go ahead and do an Astro site. Other than that, though, I'll just be using CSS, and most of it will just be plain old HTML as well. Yeah, we could get a little fancy, maybe do some Houdini to like count up those as you load the page, but I'm not sure I've got that in me this morning. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and let's do pm create vite at, no, not create vite, create Astro at latest. I think that's the right command. Something's happening, so that's good. Love to know where you're watching from this morning as well, or this afternoon, or again, wherever you're at. Let's call this, what is this thing called? Results summary component. Empty will work. If you haven't used Astro before, it's basically a way to template out mostly static sites is what I use it for, but they've expanded a lot since they first started, so it's much more than a static site generator. They've got server-side rendering, and I don't know, it's kind of my default thing that's not a full stack approach. So I've really enjoyed Astro. They're super aggressive in development too, and I think the community and the docs are second to none, and that makes it, I think, better than anything else that's out there right now, just on those two merits alone. But obviously it's not like full stack, although you can embed like React components and stuff like that as well. But sure, we can use TypeScript. Copenhagen, welcome. Sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and just cd into this. It looks like we got it right over here. So cd results summary component, and then pm run dev should get this up and running eventually. Let me know how the strength of the connection is too. It keeps saying it's okay, and then all of a sudden it dips real hard. So hopefully you can see stuff. Maybe I'll kill my video if it's bad, but all right, so let me go ahead and grab this. We'll pop in over here, and now I've got this Astro site up and running. So I'll close that down. We'll come inside here, and basically the way Astro works is inside of this src pages directory, you have an index.astro. That's everything's page route dependent. So if I want a different page other than just the default, the index page, I could add another one. So if I were to duplicate this and say like about.astro, I could just come inside here and say about, and that would go to about, although you can't really tell. So let's change this to about here, and now you can see it says about, or I could go back here. The nice thing though is you can share little segments between these components between them, so that as you write out additional pages, you don't have to continue to like duplicate the same code. So for instance, I could come inside here. Here I'm talking about Astro when I should just be doing this thing, but you know, we're having fun. All right, so layouts, I think, is what you usually do. You can do it whatever you want here. I just forget what the convention is, if it's layout or layouts. I think it's layouts, but I could come in here and say like main layout.astro. An Astro syntax is basically just a superset of HTML. So I can come in here and add this right here, and then you can add a slot inside here, slot like this. And this is basically where the children component will be. And I'll show you what that means in a second if that doesn't make sense. But I could also have in dynamic things here. So I could have like a title here. And let's go ahead and maybe before I do this, I'll kill that. I'll just show you how this would work. So what you would do then is come in here and grab your main layout. Layout, is it not going to help me out here? Let's see, main, there we go, layout. Now to write in Astro, you probably should use the extension for Astro right here, this language support. It's the official one for Astro because it gives you all that autocomplete and stuff. So basically I can take this main layout and I can put like a paragraph in here and say, I don't know, like lorem 23, sure. All right, so now if I were to use this main layout on the about page, so if I go back to the about and refresh, you can see it's actually dumped all this content inside of basically this layout component. You can actually pass props between things as well, which we'll do today. And so what I would do is pass a prop just like you would an HTML prop. So normally you'd have like an alt or something like that. In the same way here, I could pass in something like a title, and yeah, that'll work. So maybe this title I could say something like about page. All right, so this should probably be a string though. All right, so I can just pass it in like that too, or like that. There we go. Okay, so now it's going to yell at me because I'm using TypeScript and I haven't said that I'm passing in something. So if I come back over here, and now what I can do is basically destructure this title here. So I could say const title is from astro.props. So this is something Astro gives you by default, and now I can basically drop this directly in here, which means this now says about page. You can even have default, so like if I didn't pass something in, I could say like cool stuff, and then over here, if I don't pass this in, as soon as I save this, this will change over to cool stuff. So it's a really nice way of working with basically plain HTML, but you get some superpowers. And anything up above in this front matter section is basically used for calculating stuff, for doing fetches. There's top level await, so you can do anything in JavaScript up there essentially. And then down below, this is where things are rendered. And anything inside of these brackets are essentially like JSX expressions, so you can do math, simple things like that. So I could come in here and instead of all this, I could just say like 1 + 1, and now this says 2. So you could actually do expressions inside of here as well. So anyhow, that's essentially how it works. I guess you can't do expressions. You can do, well, yeah, let's not get into complication. I'm not supposed to be teaching Astro. What I was going to do is build this thing out. So anyhow, if you're not familiar with Astro, hopefully that's a bit of an introduction. I've done a decent amount on Astro on my channel before. So, all right, learning curve with Astro for beginners. I think it's about as easy as it gets when it comes to actually getting something powerful. It's basically plain HTML, and you can just write it as plain HTML if you want. And then as you develop, you can add in extra stuff. So yeah. The dist folder represent is basically where stuff will be built. And I think that's the only other questions I see. This public directory in Astro, this is basically the root of your build. So anything you want just at your / like favicon.svg, that's where that will be. So anything in the public directory is untouched by Astro. And everything else is bundled and minified. Actually, it's not minified, but it's bundled. You can minify it with some plugins, but that's mostly everything. This config is where you can add extra things, like we could add Tailwind today. But here I am 10 minutes, 15 minutes into the stream, and we haven't started this yet. But I don't know. I feel like that's helpful at least to have a sense of what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and delete this, though, and delete this. and now it hates me. Okay, so there we go. All right, so this index.astro page, we'll just pretty much use this. I might build some components out just for the sake of kind of putting to practice some of the stuff we just talked about, but hopefully that is at least a good introduction for you. All right, so let's go ahead and look first of all at the desktop and the mobile. Okay, so it looks like this is supposed to take up the full screen height, I'm guessing, 375 by 809. So we could do styling in a couple different ways. By default, not to go back into talking about Astro, but if you do a style tag inside here, this is scoped to this particular component. In this sense, in this case, the page is its own component, so it's a page route, but I could say something like body blue. Oops, background color. You got to actually, background color would be blue. And now this would be blue. However, if I duplicated this and went back and had another about page and came in here, and for my about page, I could say like black or something like that. Now this won't be black and this one will be blue. So these are scoped automatically. In fact, if you look inside here, you can see that Astro adds this gobbledygook to basically say, hey, this is scoped just to this particular component. So styling is really nice if you're trying to kind of keep stuff connected. You can actually have a script tag here too and kind of keep your HTML, your CSS, and your JavaScript. Kind of like Svelte. I think Svelte does this too, and there might be other frameworks that do it as well. Okay, back to what we were doing. So that's one way to do styling. The other way is to actually have a style sheet that you just import. Just note that wherever you import that, basically it's global. And so let's go ahead and just do that though. So I'll just have a styles. Yeah, that works. Yeah, styles.main.css, sure. All right, so we could start with something very basic, like a basic clear, before, and then background. What am I doing? Box sizing, border box. And the reason you declare this on a star selector is because this is not inherited. So, and then I usually like to do margin and padding as 0, which I know is a little aggressive, but that's just my preference. So now this is not yet taking effect. So let's go ahead and import. What am I importing? I got to go up, styles, right? Yeah, up, styles. Why am I not getting this? Okay, there we go. Styles main.css. All right, so now you can see it imports it and adds it all there. And again, this is basically like a global import at this point, but camera's laggy, the rest is fine. Okay, I'll kill my camera and figure that out later. What's up, Buttercup? Excellent. I am doing excellent. Okay, hopefully that is going to get better. It'll probably take a second for that to connect. YouTube's telling me I have a great connection, and OBS is telling me my connection is horrible. So just when I thought a move would fix all my internet woes. Okay, so here we go. Back at it. We've got the styles basically imported. Now let's go ahead and start actually building this thing out. I'm going to pull up the mobile design as a starting point, and then let's pull up the index from the actual project, and let's start kind of filling out stuff as we need it. So let's see, the title, I don't know. I won't worry about any of that stuff right now, but let me go ahead and grab this. Maybe let's grab this kind of one at a time, and I've got a clipboard manager here called PasteBot that will help me grab all these things one at a time, but let me know if the stream quality improves, by the way. Okay, so we'll do 76 of 100. I'm just going to grab all these things, and by doing it like this, I can basically paste it back in the order that I copied it. So we'll leave all this since that is, yeah, that should be fine since I can loop over that data. Okay, so I've got that good. Sorry everyone makes fun of your font, but I don't know. I like it, so I feel like it's nice that it's free, and I don't know. I feel like it's cleaner than the default, but sorry you had to bear the brunt of my poor decisions. Okay, let's also pull this back up and jump over here. Okay, so we could break this out in a bunch of different ways. Maybe let's just get the data out there first. Essentially, it's got two sections. These will both be inside. How is the desktop design? So that just kind of squats in the middle there. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. I'm thinking we could just do it all in the body, have everything inside of like a card component or something like that. And then essentially like add some padding when we get to some larger things. So I think that's probably what I'll do. So yeah, let's do that, except maybe let's make it a main component. So this will be where most of the content is, and then everything else will be inside of like a card class. That'll work. Okay, so we've got this card class set up and ready to go. We'll have the summary maybe. We'll call this maybe overview and call this summary. So for now, let's just build it all in here, and we can break out components later just to show you how that works. But to keep everything together to start with, let's go ahead and call this overview. Or if you really wanted to, we could do like card overview. And then down here, we could do card summary. You think it's cute. Excellent. I'm glad you think the font is cute. Hey man, no problem there at all. Okay, so as far as how to semantically lay this out, I'm not totally sure what this would be. Like your result maybe would be, maybe this would be like an H2. So let's say that. So I'm going to go ahead and just expand that out, your result, and then 76 of what, so eventually this is going to be math here. So maybe let's just do like a do math. A little comment for ourselves here, but for now this will be its own little section. We'll call this like average. I don't know. Now I'm just making up stuff. Let's just simplify this and call this card and overview. And then here, I'll just call this average. And again, I think this can just be a div. Maybe this should actually be an article. I mean, I'm assuming maybe you have like multiples of these throughout. So maybe I do that. And then inside here, we'll have a paragraph for now. I'll just call it 76. And then another paragraph that will have the of 100. Okay, then below here, yeah, we'll have this be its own little section. And let's see, I guess I'll probably group this as well. So I'll call this like description or something. That'll work. And then here we'll have a paragraph for now that just says great, and another paragraph that says all the rest of the stuff. Okay, finally come down here to the summary. We've got a button we know down here. I'm guessing this would be an actual button, not an anchor link, but yeah, let's do that. And then here we'll call this continue. All right, and you can see stuff starting to pop in over here. Now let's go ahead and write. Maybe I should just extract this as its own component to start with, just to kind of show you how it works. No, let's do it together. I said I would, so let's do that. So if I come over here, we can actually grab the data file. Let's grab this, and I'm going to drop it inside SRC. And maybe I just create a folder called data, and I can drop this bad boy in here. So any kind of file you can, any data file, JSON file, or JavaScript file, or whatever you can import in here. So I could say like import, and this is not a named import anything. Well, I guess it's JSON, so that makes sense. We could call this like summary data from data.json. Okay, so now I've got the summary data, and essentially I can loop over this now. Let me come in here, and maybe this would also be an H2. I don't know, that doesn't really make sense. Let's just call this a paragraph. And then down here, I can essentially loop over the summary data. Now, because we're using TypeScript, I can actually, I can like scope or lay this out and say what's in this, but for now, let's just keep it simple. And what I can do is map over each of these things. So it'll essentially pass it to me, and I can map over each data point and just say like, let's see, what is this data dot category? That'll work. Data dot category. Okay. So, whoops. Not an uppercase map, lowercase map. So you can see how it basically spits all these out here. So I can template stuff out very quickly using this, as opposed to HTML where I'd have to just copy this down multiple times. And then if the data changes on build, it will basically re-spit all this out, and I don't have to like manually change stuff. I can have everything contained and one JSON file over here. So, okay, so with that said, we've got this data. We can actually give it some details here over in TypeScript so it knows what we've got here. So I could have like a, let's call it interface, and we'll just call this data. Sure. And then that's not what I need. This, this, and this. Are these all just strings? No. Okay, so we get a, so this is a string, this is a number, and this is a string. And I just forget, do you need a, yeah, okay. So now, you don't need that. Okay, there we go. I could also do a type, I guess. I don't know that it really matters in this case, but basically then I could come in here and just say like as this. No, sorry. Like this? No. How do I do this? I'm forgetting now. Because it's, I don't know if it's any different being JSON, but I don't think it would be. So I just wanted to declare this. Wouldn't I just do as? Okay, well you can let me know because for some reason my brain is not working right now, but I am learning TypeScript, so occasionally I forget basic stuff, but I don't know. I feel like you don't know what you forget till you try to do it, so especially do it publicly. So there you go. So let me know what I'm doing wrong there, and we can declare that as a type. I guess I could do this as, oops, what did I call that? Data? This is probably data type or something like that would be the better, something that's at least not the same thing. So that then basically you get autocomplete here. No? I thought this would give me this, but yeah, that should be, well, anyhow, all that to say, you can tell me what I'm doing wrong, but for now, what we're going to do is we'll just have these each, trying to think if these should be anything in particular, like semantically for HTML. I don't know that they should be, so let me just, I guess let's just make this a div then. So this will be a div. We'll call this like, I don't know what this should be, summary card or something like that. Yeah. So let's do that, if it'll let me. Div, and then this class will be summary card. And for some reason, this is not, okay, it did autosave. Wasn't giving me IntelliSense and stuff. Okay, so we've got an icon. That should be whatever that is, icon. So let's do an image here. Actually, let's make this section together. This is where I would typically start to have a bunch of utility classes because we've got stuff kind of stacking up, but we'll just call it like category. And then in here, we'll have an image, and this image will point to here. You can template stuff out in Astro using this templated syntax. It's very similar to JSX, not quite the same, but pretty close. So we'll have a, come on. This seems to be messing me up. So what is this, icon? And then the alt, I'll just leave, and well, I guess it doesn't give me that. So yeah, maybe let's just leave it empty, which means it should skip on screen readers. And then inside here, we'll have a paragraph, and this will be d.category, I think. And then what else? Over on the other side, we'll have like score. How about that? And this will be something d.score. Oh, excellent. And then we'll just say, maybe this should just be a paragraph then. And I'll put this inside of a span. And we'll say out of 100. Yeah, that works. Okay, so we've got all these things here, and we've done the math here. What I should be able to do over here then is to take 76 out of 100. So in here, what I can do is take the data summary dot, I guess we could just reduce over this, not reduce controller. And here we've got two things. We've got the ACC, which is the accumulator, and then whatever the current data point is, which I should really stop calling stuff data every time. So maybe we could just call this, I don't know, item or something like that. Then what we need to do is have a starting value. So in this case, it would be 0. And the nice thing about reduce is it's like a map or a filter, except you don't have to return. You don't have to return an array. You can return anything. So I want to return this. So then what I want to do is just take the ACC. So the ACC will start with 0. And the first thing I want to do is add up everything. Is that right? Yeah, I think I just want to add up everything. So I'm going to take the item dot score. We'll say take the ACC and we'll set this to ACC plus item score. Okay. So then what I should get back here is a value. I've got to actually return this. All right. So then I get 305. So now I've got an actual value, and I can do divided by, actually, let's keep this on side here. So this will be my value I get back. And maybe to make this easier, I can just say like total nums or something like that. And then here, I want to take my total. Yeah, is that right? Yeah. Can I? Oh, I can't do this because it's an expression. So forget this. But what I can do is come in here and say this divided by, and what I want is the summary data dot length, like that. So now I get 76.25. So in other words, I'm getting a number of the total and I'm dividing by however many there are. And that way, if I add additional ones here, so let's say I came in here and I added another one, and this is 72. So this should probably do something to that. Oh, JSON. All right. So you see it increases that, but basically my data is now all throughout. It's totally responsive. Now there's a couple ways that we could style or get this text to say only 76, but the easiest way is to use something called the, what is that called? Internationalization API. TS config file. I do somewhere because I said I wanted to. Here we go. Yep, that's all I got in here. So it just extends the Astro. So what I can do is I can take this number right here. So take all of this and I could wrap it. Actually, I know I'll get back from this a number, right? So I should be able to take this, and I'm trying to remember how that works. INTL number format. So I just want to limit how many I can get back. Maximum significant digits. Okay, so I might need to actually grab this. And this might be something, since I'm doing a lot of work right here, that I actually would do up front here. That way I can do full JavaScript. So maybe I would do that. So let's say that const average equals all of this stuff. All right. And I can get rid of this return and just make this explicit or implicit. And move this here. I think that should work the same. I need one more. No. I've got this wrapped in here. Yeah, that should work. All right, so let me just console log this just to make sure I'm getting what I think I am. And oh no, what happened? Let's come back down here and get rid of this. Get out of here. Okay. And I guess I don't need to console log it. There we go, average, because I could have just placed it right inside there. But this is just another note about how this front matter works. This is essentially like server-side logic. So anything you do over here will be logged down in your console here. Anything you do that's a log over here will show up over this way. Okay, what am I doing? Over here, we're going to take the, so I could just plop the average in here. I do need to average. I do need to put it inside these brackets, but you can see I actually get that back. Now what I can do is I can take this and I can format it. So what I can do is take the new intl.number format, and in this case, the first argument is always like the locale, so I'll just let this be undefined. So wherever somebody's coming from, it will show it in their local locale. Then you can pass in a bunch of stuff. So maximum significant digits, I could do 2. Is that right? I think. All right, let's see if this works. And then you tack on format at the end. Yeah, so dot format, and then I would format the average. So maybe I would call this average, actually, average formatted, something like that. And then I should be able to grab this and drop this down here. And if I did all that correctly, we should just have 76. All right, because I said that's all I wanted. Now, what happens if this average is just like 100? Do I only get 2 back? Oh no, I'm good. Okay, so in other words, it's not giving me any decimal points, which is what I want. And there are other ways to do that as well, but this is more flexible and modern than, at least as far as I know. So hopefully that's a help. Okay, so we've got all data in there, and we've even got stuff working. You've scored higher than 76%. I don't have any way of calculating that, so that's just a hard-coded value. Okay, so I think that's good. Let's go ahead and start working on the styling, since that's what this whole thing is supposed to be about anyhow. And maybe let's start with just getting some colors up and running. So I'll pull up the style guide. Whoa, got a lot of stuff here. Designs, 375, gradients, okay. Why do we need 25 colors for this? Okay, well, that's fine. Let's grab all these, and again, I'm going to use PasteBot so I can sequentially paste these things. I'll definitely have to have this open to figure out where all this is supposed to be, but at least this is a starting point. Neutrals. I mean, is this necessary to have 12 colors? That's okay. Transparency. You don't have to use HSLA anymore. You can just do it directly in the HSL now, but font paragraph 18. Got this here. See, didn't they give me fonts as well? I thought I saw. Yeah. Static and variable fonts. Nifty. So yeah, you could do it all in the variable font. I don't, like, it's been a while since I've used that actively. Like, I've set it up on projects and just used it. So desktop apps, do I want to learn that or do that live here? I don't think so. Okay, so we might actually use, let's just get it up and running, and if I really feel like dropping this in, well, the fonts aren't that hard to do. So let's go ahead and just do that. Let's bring it over here, and I'm going to drop this in the public folder because I don't want this to be touched by Astro, and it can just set at the kind of the root of my directory. Is that what I want to do? Sure. So let's do that. So I'm going to drop all those in there, and I'll probably have to look up exactly how to do that. But for now, let's see if I can close down this. This is back in my main CSS file. I'm going to just go ahead and declare on the root a bunch of colors, and we will figure out what to do with them after we get them in there. So let's just drop all these bad boys in here. And okay, so how are we going to do this? Let's just call, see, these are gradients. I thought those are gradients. That's not a gradient. Style guide. Let's open this back up. Is it like supposed to go from here to there? Maybe. And from there to there. Okay, so maybe we don't worry about these for now. And what I'll do is call these neutrals, I guess. So let's do that. So I'll call this neutral, and then text pastry 1 to whatever. That will work. These also need closing semicolons. Okay, so same up here. And then these I will just call like accent red or whatever they happen to be. So this would be yellow. Here we've got green, and here we've got blue. Okay, I think that works. We'll figure out these gradients later, but at least we've got a starting point. Now, what I typically like to do is to remove these HSLs so we can do opacity kind of on the fly as we need it. So maybe let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to grab all these, remove those, and jump to the end. Let's see, actually, I'm going to need to see the whole thing so I can actually jump properly to the end. All right, there we go, and get rid of that. I also probably will just get rid of all these right here too, so that I don't have to, not these and these, but I can use the more updated syntax for HSL. So now essentially what I can do is come over here to body and grab like the background color. And here I can do HSL, so I have to wrap the variable here, but I can do accent red, for instance. The nice thing about wrapping it with HSL down here and not having the HSL declared up here is now I can just do like a /2 /.4, and it gives it opacity directly here. And this / is because I'm using the updated syntax without the commas, just as a heads up. Okay, so we've got that. We'll need to style stuff as we go, but we've at least got it started. Let's see, let's get rid of this. Okay, anything else style-wise? Let's see, it said font size was 18 pixels, so let's go ahead and set that there. Yeah, let's do local fonts because I can't ever remember how to do this. Oops. Font face, that's right. As you can see, I've used this before. Okay, so then what I want to do is just drag this in here. I'm just going to copy this and let's just pop it up here. And in this case, we're going to call this whole thing, what is it, grotesque? So let's do that. I'm guessing this is a tech color. I don't know what that means. Never heard of tech before. At least I don't remember that. So I know it's a font TTF, because I saw that. Okay. Isn't there like a weight? That's what I was looking for. Like, can't you give it a weight? Font style? Font weight, okay. But you can actually declare that in... Yeah, here we go. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So let's grab this and font face, that's fine. In this case, we're going to call this, we got to go up, right? And to, actually it'll just be at the root, so that's why I put it in the public directory. So let's go ahead and open this up and let's start with medium. So I'll pop this bad boy in here, and this should be format of format. Where are you at? Open type. Yeah, I get that. Doesn't it have like a... Okay, here we go. So we'll grab this. And I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to worry about that. So it's basically faster if you do it this way. I mean, not that I'm showing that off very well right now, but... And usually when I run into stuff like this with the stream where I'm like, man, I kind of forgot how to do this. This results in videos because I'm like, okay, if I forget how to do this, I'm just going to do video so I can remember next time. So it's quite the way to learn, but yeah. So let's do that. Where was my font bold that I was already looking at that I can't find now? Okay, so font weight, here we go. Font weight, that will be bold. Actually, it will be normal. And don't you have like, these are if you have multiple types of fonts. But isn't there a way to like declare multiple families? Man, I'm forgetting this now. Well, this tells me I just need to do a video on it because if I can't remember how to do it, I don't want to have to figure it out here live. So let me just grab the Google font and we all get a video out of it. So let's do that. This is actually one of the reasons I really like live streaming is because it shows me what I don't know and stuff I think I know, I don't. And then I'm like, okay, well, you know, like the reduce, I was live streaming and I messed up on that. So I was like, let me do a video on it. And I haven't really forgot how to do reduce since then because of the video. So I don't know. As much as it's like nobody likes messing up live, I'd much rather do that and actually know that I don't know it versus, you know, thinking I know it and not really knowing it. So let me grab this here. And if I can, pop over this way and let's put this on the body. Okay, so there we go. And I guess I have it locally installed, it looks like. Or at least maybe it's just using the default. I think that might be what it's doing. Okay, now there we go. Okay, so now I've got this installed over here in the head of the HTML. And I'll do a video on how to do the font, so you don't have to watch me figure it out live here. But it's not complicated, and it was probably almost there, but we haven't really styled anything, and that was kind of the point of today. So I figure we should probably get to that. Okay, so let's work on the cards section down here. So we call these summary cards. So again, I'm just declaring this all in a plain old HTML or a CSS file. So I'll do this, and each of these summary cards basically has its own color and that kind of stuff. So we can color this in a bunch of different ways. I think maybe my instinct is to actually take, let's see, should I inline this style? It's inline it or add it as a data attribute. I think either way. So maybe let's add to our data file just so we get more use out of that. So let's do that. So for all these, I'm going to do like color or something like that. And then this will be red. And we should be set, except these need to be different. So this one would be yellow. And this would be green, right? And this would be blue. What did I call that? Is that more blue? I called it blue. Okay. So I think that'll work. We'll just name it that. Maybe. Yeah, let's do that. And then if I come back over this way to the index page where this is shown, I can essentially style this whole card based off of that. So I'm thinking probably maybe I should just have this as a data like color equals whatever that color is. So d dot color. And then if I come over here, now these things have data color red. You can see that data color yellow, green, blue. I can basically use those attributes to style stuff. I don't know what that's all about. It looks like the icon is not properly in there. Assets, images. It's because I didn't put it in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and just drag this assets folder directly in the public directory. You can put this in a couple different places. But in this case, I think we'll just leave it there. And now if I come over here, now they pop it. All right, so let's actually style these things. What we can do is, I think what I prefer to do is use some kind of local variable here. So we could just set like the card color or something like that to, I think right now what I would just do is HSL and then wrap this in like 000 or something like that. So that this would be the card color, and I'd set the background color to my var of card color. Then what I would do is anything that happened to have a data color of red, I would change the card color to, let's see, do I want it? Yeah, I think I want it like that. So this would be accent red. All right, is that, I got double vars in here somehow. Okay, so there we go. So now I got that red background. So I can essentially just update it like this, and this is the only time that those things are referenced. So I'll take these as yellow, I'll take this as green, and I'll take this as blue. Okay, and I think these look more opaque than that. So I'm guessing there was something in the style guide about that over here. Transparency to get the color to match. Just not going to tell me what it is though. That's fine. So that's why we've got it like this. So I can go ahead and grab these, pull this up, come back over this way and redo what I just did. And I can just do like a / 0.2, 0.4 maybe, 0.3. I mean, we are guessing, so that still seems too dark. So 0.2, maybe even 0.1. Okay, so we'll call it 0.1 and call it good there. But essentially, we can now just do all the styling here, and this is just for color, so it doesn't super matter. We can just leave this down here so we like custom color for each card. All right, let me get this over this way. These are all the same no matter what they are, so let's just get this thing styled. Normally I'd have some kind of spacing variable, so maybe we should do that up here. So let's do spacing, and in here, let's just do like a 4-point scale. I think that is a lot of times easiest to work with, so we could just do like space extra small, 4 pixels, and ideally something like either using Tailwind or SAS to spit this out would be faster, but in this case, it's going to be just fine. So we could also just set it up like this: space 4, 8, 12, 16, 24. Let's just do that, so I don't have to remember like what the things are. 32, and then we'll do the same thing here. So 8, 12, 16, 20, 28. Did I just totally skip something? Yeah, I did. 20, details. 24, and then we can make this 28, and maybe we'll have a 32 just in case. Okay, 32 and 32. So these are my spacing values. I guess I can also have a 2 if I really need one that small. I don't know that I will, but usually I'd have these more as like client values, so they get bigger as you get to desktop sizes, but it doesn't look like they change, so I probably shouldn't make a change. So here we'll do padding of our spacing, probably like a 4, I would think, something like that. I'll probably also have just some real basic declarations up here. We'll call these like utils. Let's not overcomplicate it. I'll just do it. We don't have that much going on. So this, I will make a display flex and justify content space between. So it basically, by putting a flex, it naturally sets them off as sections inside of here. And if I open back this back up, so it's this right here that has display flex. So this is a section and this is a section. So I have 2 sections now, and they're normally set side by side. Then by doing justify content space between, it pushes them to the exterior. So that's what we've got going on. We obviously need to do some more work internally as well, but that's fine. And then we'll align items center, and this will put them to the center of the actual card itself. If I remove that, you can see that it's up top here. Oops. Like this, you can see it goes up top, and now it's spacing everything in the very middle. Okay, the other thing to do here would be to get the internal sections kind of styled properly, but this still doesn't quite seem like enough spacing. So maybe we go 8 here. Oops. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Okay, so we'll take that, and then maybe on the sides we'll go var space 12. Maybe it all needs to be that. I don't know. I'm sure it's fine. We'll figure it out as we go. Maybe let's just do it just in case. Okay, we do have some border radiuses as well, so I would usually declare these up here. And basically by declaring a bunch of root variables here, I can control a lot of the styling to the entire site by just changing these up. So that's how I typically like to do it. So we could call this like radius small maybe. And this could be, my guess is that's like 4 pixels. Oops. Something like that. And then maybe we have a medium, and we could call this 8 pixels. And then whatever this is going to be a lot larger, but we'll figure that out. Looks like we've also got radius full, and this would be 100 V max, which will take either the height or the width, whatever is bigger on the screen, and round everything off with that. So it's a lot safer for getting full rounded areas. So that's what we'll do. Okay, so in here then we'll say border radius will be var radius. Let's start with small. See how that treats us? Not great. Let's go to medium. That looks a little bit better. It's hard to see without having any padding at all. So let's come in here too and say padding var space 16. Sure. Just to see it, we'll have to change that in a second here. But okay, so that's generally about right. I don't know, maybe that should be 12. So let's go ahead, and if this really is going to be our smallest here, let's do that. And then I'll come in here, and this can be small. That looks better. We'll also need to space this stuff out based on, let's see, everything inside of This should probably be inside of some kind of div so I can actually work with it. So if that's summary card, then maybe you can wrap all this with like summary cards. I don't know. Cards. Summary. This is why people like Tailwind. Summary cards, so you don't have to name stuff. So let's do that. So we'll grab this and drop this back over here. Oops. And we'll grab the summary cards. This will be display grid and then gap of var space. And we can do probably like 20. That's probably too much. That's not bad. Maybe we do 16. Okay, so I'm doing display grid because it stacks up and down naturally. This gap, then I kind of let the parent control the spacing between these things. The other way to do it is to do like a margin on all these, but I typically like the parent to do this, so that's what I do. All right, I think that's mostly good there. Let's go ahead now and style kind of the inside of those, and then we'll get a move on here. So we've got this called category and this called score. So let's go ahead and grab the category and the score down here. So I'll say category. This always needs to be display flex. This will set these two items inside of it next to each other. And then we can set a gap on here and var space 2 maybe. Nah, it needs more than that. So 4, 8, 12. We'll get it. I think that's about right. So that's good. We probably want to align items center just to make sure that those things are centered. It looks like they kind of naturally are, but that's always best to do that. Okay, other thing we'll do is take our category. Actually, we can do, because I'm in Chrome here, we can do native nesting now. Technically in Chrome, this is probably not a great idea just to do. Should I do it anyhow? Sure. Let's take the, is it just a paragraph inside there? Yeah, so let's take the paragraph here and set the color to my card color. Is that gonna work? I think so. So let me move this down below. And that way, I thought that would work. Oh no, I have to do var card color. That's right, because I wrapped it. Okay. So now like this. Oh, but I set this thing. So I guess what we can do is, how do I want to do this? Well, let's not overcomplicate this. Let's just grab this data color here. I'm going to move this back up top. I got to get rid of that sequential paste. I'm just copying stuff I don't need. Let's come inside of each of these. Let's just overwrite all the color here to like accent red, I think. And then this will be yellow. And this will be blue or green. And then what I'll do is just overwrite it for this kind of end section itself. And this will be blue. Okay, that'll work. Okay, so now I've got all those colors set up. Let's grab the score next, which I think I had on my clipboard. And here I want the color. So I'll set it to this gray by default. And I don't remember what that was supposed to be. Looks like it's maybe neutral 1 or 2. So we'll do var, actually I gotta wrap this in HSL, neutral 2. Nope. 3, 4, 1. None of these. Well then if that's the case, I'm guessing I have to do some kind of opacity as well, which that's kind of stupid. They should have just given us an actual value that works. But let's say it's neutral 4, and then I guess we have to go like 0.2 or something. 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. We're just guessing now. Sure, let's do that. It looks like all this also needs to be font weight of bold, maybe. Did that even make a difference? I guess it did. Come back over here. What? Don't I have like 3 different font weights? I'm guessing these are all the same, it looks like. So maybe this is the only true bold. So I'll come back in here and maybe this should be on the summary card itself, since they're all that way, and this could be 700. Oops, 700. That looks too big now. 600. Maybe, yeah, I'll just leave it there. Okay. 700, 500, 800, yeah. So let's let's leave it there. I think that's right. Then I just have to come inside here and grab the score, and we'll grab the span inside of that, and we'll set that to a darker version of this exact same thing. So just without any of that. Okay, so that should work. I guess the other thing is I should probably see how I've got this laid out. Span. So these are kind of all their own little sections here. These are on their own little nodes, so I think I should be able to just space this out with flex. So let's do that. So I'll come in here and say display flex, and then gap of our space. Let's do 4. I think that works. Sure. Maybe remove these spaces here. That way I get to style it all just with that. And maybe I set this to 8 or something. Huh. I thought that would preserve this here, but I guess not. That's a little odd how that works, but that's fine. All right, so we'll do that. So it's counting these things as their own little sections in here. Interesting. All right, so that's pretty much set and ready to go. I think that should work. I guess we'll probably do like a max width on this whole section. And the summary up here. Yeah, do I have a summary yet? I don't. So let's go ahead and do that. So just the whole summary is this whole section. And here's where I should probably pull in this padding, because I don't want it on the entire body, but I do want it on this section. This can be display grid, because these are all like laid out vertically like this. And so this is a section, this is a section, and this is a section. Can I like not be zoomed in a ton here? Okay, there we go. So let's do that, and then I'll have to work on this button, and then we'll call this section semi-done. Okay, so I think we just want a gap here. Actually, let me go ahead and just copy this down as a starting point. And we'll change this out for gap. And set this to something larger, like 24. And I think that looks okay. So maybe we just keep it there. I also want the color here to be my var accent. Actually, I need this to be wrapped once again in HSL. So accent, nope, neutral, 4. All right, so it picks up that color by default. And man, that sure looks bold as well. Or none of these are bold. But this looks less bold than those. So this has to be bold. So we'll say font weight will just be 700 for everything. And so that means I can get rid of it down here because that's inherited. Okay, so I think that's mostly good. Let's go ahead and do the button, and then we'll call it good. So I'm going to come back over this way, and I'm going to add a class here. We'll just call this BTN. And over this way, let's come down, and we'll just add like button, which I only have one, so not too big of a deal, but button like that. Here we will say font. I'll just inherit everything, and that way it doesn't have the default styling from the browser, but rather from my declared fonts above. Let's see what else I want. We'll do background color here. Sorry, by the way, about the voice. I've been battling something all week, so we'll do color, and in this case, I think neutral 1 maybe. We'll do border is none. Border radius, since we already set that up, can be our radius of full. So it tries to be a circle when it can be. And we'll say font. Now let's do padding. So up above, we'll do var space. Sure, 16. Is that going to be too much? And I guess we could just kind of do it for either way, because it's supposed to stretch the full width. What does it do on desktop? Yeah, so I think that should work. So let's just leave it there. So normally I would do something like max width is like fit content, and that way it only takes up the space it needs. But I think in this case, it's supposed to always stretch the same as everything else. So we're just going to leave it alone. So like that. All right, I think that works, and that mostly looks good to me. I guess this looks a little inconsistent. It looks like whiter here than it does over here, unless I'm seeing that wrong. But other than that, I think that mostly looks fine. Okay. We also want a cursor, a pointer on here so that we get this cursor thing. I don't think they give us, do they give us like any active states? Active states? Oh, they do. Okay. So when this is active, we can go when it is, let's go when it's active or when it's hovered. I forget what the actual best use case is for that, but we'll take the background color, and here's where I need to actually get that radius working. So we got both of these colors. And let's come back up top here. We declared them, but then commented them out if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. So let me move this down here. And then what I want to do, I think I'll just wrap these. So yeah, let's just wrap this and this in HSL like that. And I wonder why this isn't picking up the right color, but then what I want to do is we'll call this like gradient blue or something like that. And we'll say from this to that. Does that work? Why is this? That's a little odd how that's, oh, maybe this needs to be percent. I deleted a percent. Yeah. And I deleted percent. Okay. So let's grab this gradient blue, and what I need to do is set this on the background actually, like this. So we'll say var gradient blue. Well, that was a failure. I always forget how to do these. Maybe it's just like space. Maybe you just do this. Is that right? No. Gradient. There are always things you don't remember. And I don't know why, but I've never been able to remember the gradient syntax. Maybe we got another video coming. Direction, color stop. So I need to say linear gradient to start with. Linear gradient, red, yellow. Okay. So if I just come down here, I guess I can say linear gradient. And if it's top to bottom, I think that's the default. There we go. I mean, kind of, sort of. Let's set this on the background. I will also set this background, and that way I can transition on the background. So we'll say transition, and let's grab a random cubic Bezier curve. And here we will say background 200 milliseconds, whatever that is. I mean, that's kind of funky, so maybe let's not do that. Let's just do ease in and out. Why is it? What in the world? Can you not transition on backgrounds? I don't know. That's kind of weird. Let's just do like 2 full seconds. All right, and we'll just do linear. So maybe you can't. It's just transitioning off of it. I'm not sure why it's doing that, but I don't know. I'll just blame my sickness and move on. All right, so we just won't have one. That's fine. I do want to have some kind of better state than this for tabbing to it. So let's go ahead and first of all grab the focus. We're going to set the outline to transparent. That way it'll still be right for assistive technology that is using more like high contrast mode, because it will still be able to override that. But for us, we're going to say the focus visible. So this would be like tabbing to it. Here I want to set a ring around it. So we'll say box shadow. And here I think what I want to do, yeah, I think what I want to do here is say, we're going to start with like var space, sure, let's do 2. And what I'm doing is basically going to draw a white ring around it, but maybe so we can see, I'll do it with red first. So we'll go 0, 0, 0, and like that with red. So you can see that what I'm doing is basically saying, don't go anywhere left or right, don't go anywhere up or down, don't give me any blur, just offset it by 2 pixels, because that's what the spacer does in our setup up top. And then what I can do is come in here and say offset this outside one by maybe I guess I don't have 6. I've got 4 or 8. And I could just do pixels obviously here as well. I guess I don't have to do my spacer, but I could say something like blue. And now when I tab to it, you see we've got this ring of the blue around it. What does this look like? I mean, that's very aggressive, but maybe I just take this as 2 and I take this as like 6. Oops. Just 6 pixels. And we can set this at 3 pixels. We don't have to have everything tied to those variables. And now you can see that ring, but I kind of do like it a little thicker. I don't think they give you an actual focus state, so that's good for me. And then this just needs to be probably my neutral like 2 or something. I don't know what this background is supposed to be. My guess is it's something like that. So, and this can be, I guess I'll just do neutral 4. All right, so now I get this nice ring when I pop into there. And here at least I can say the transition, I can take it on the box. Shadow, 200 milliseconds, ease in and out. That'll work. And now you see that comes on and off. So there we go. All right, what color highlighter extension? I think it's actually called color highlight. So yeah, I like it. Unfortunately, when you do this whole like wrap in HSL, you lose all that right here. So, but it is nice when you're actually using full HSL or hex values or anything like that. Or even just naming the colors like you can see. Okay, so I think we're going to call that good. See, was there like, no, there's no shadow or anything. Okay, so that'll work. Yeah, so we'll call that good. Let's go ahead and take the entire card and do some styling on that just to get stuff laid out correctly. And then we should probably get a move on today. Let's see, let's take this card and let's jump back over here. And oops, like that. Now, the interesting thing is here, I kind of want this whole thing to have a border radius on it, but only on desktop. Is that right? Yeah. So I think for now, we'll just leave that alone. And let's just get this set up for mobile. So we'll say display grid, which it already is that way. We'll say gap, var space. Let's do our 32. See what that looks like. Maybe too much. 28. It's hard to know without this styling on this here, but at least we've got kind of everything set up. And then I want a max width here. Let's see. I could do this a couple different ways. Let's do max width 100%. And then we'll say the width needs to be whatever this is. So let's guess like 750 pixels. I don't have the Figma file, so I'm not really sure. But then basically as I get bigger, it should cap at that. Now eventually we're going to split these things next to each other. So I'll probably change this grid autoflow to column on larger screen sizes. In fact, maybe I can just do that here. I'll say max width, or I always forget how this works. Screen, only screen, and max width of like 700, sure, pixels. Maybe actually, how do I want to do this? I probably want to snap it a little earlier than that. So maybe we take like 500 pixels. And just to make sure this is working, I'll say display none on the card. Okay, so when I get smaller, it just disappears. Okay, so min width. This is why they have a new updated syntax, which I want to do a video on at some point, but so that you don't have to remember what max and min is, because that's opposite of whatever I always think it is. It's always the opposite. Then I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to drop this in here. And so I think what I'll do is I'll start with this at like 400 pixels or something like that. And that way it never gets bigger than that. And then if I'm on bigger screen sizes, it can. So let's come in here and let's just set it like this. That should be good. And then it caps at that 400. Now when I get bigger than that, and we'll have to keep this central too somehow. So we'll say align items. Actually, let's just do place items center. This will align and justify content center, although it's going to smash that. So let's just justify content center. That's also not going to work. So I just need to set the whole thing in the center using the bot or the main tag. So let's do that. So this will be display grid and place items center. There we go. Okay. That will work. And then when I get bigger here, we can cap to a larger screen size. That's 700. Although as soon as I get bigger here too, I'm also going to set the card to grid auto flow. Now by default, it's always row, but you can change this to column. It basically just means if it's side by side or up and down. So we'll do that, and we'll have to limit this as well over here, but I think that should work. For now, let's go back to our mobile version so we can actually style this the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so there we go. I think that's mostly set for everything we need. Let's go ahead and set this as a min height of 100. View height, maybe? Is that going to make a difference? No, not at all. Yeah, okay. So let's come over here. Are there any other active states I have to worry about? No, looks like that's the only one. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's come back over here. How do I want to do this? I guess I don't have to make this a grid. I could make it... No, I think I should. So let's keep it there. Let me move this to the very bottom of the file just to keep all our media queries together, even though they'll be out of sync or out of place with where they're declared in the mobile views. So we'll do like media queries. Come back up top here. I haven't been paying attention to my chat. Let's see. Neat channel. Hey, thank you, Karen. Color highlighter. Awesome. Yep, that's the extension. I guess I could have just looked it up over here. So if anyone's curious, the color highlighter I have is called Color Highlight. Okay. So back over here, what are we doing? I want to set this as like 2 columns. So grid template rows, actually. To start with, we'll do 1 fraction. Like this, 1 fraction, 1 fraction. That way these things should take up both those sections. And then this should be min height, 100% view height, right? Oh, that's the main. So it's the article I actually have to declare this on, which is the card. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to move this down this way. Okay, so we've got this set. This then needs to be min height of that. This eventually needs to be the case, but I think that should work. Okay. So we'll do auto and auto. How does that work? And then if I stretch this, it tries. Okay, I think that should work for the most part, I guess. I want this to take up the rest. Maybe I switch this up. So we take this as 1 fraction and this is auto. And then I don't think this is helping at all. That's not the right way to do this. I'm just going to leave it alone for now then. We might come back to that. Okay, let's actually get the top part styled and then we can move on. So we've got this overview section is what I called that. So I call this like bottom section. And then we can call this top section. Okay, so let's grab this overview and we'll display grid it, and gap of our space of 16, something like that. And then the background here, I guess we can do background image if we want. This needs to be a linear gradient, and this is my var gradient blue, I think. It's supposed to be the exact same. What is this for then? Is that this? Maybe? Maybe that's what that is. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. Sometimes these things aren't very helpful. Oops. Let's go ahead also and set the color here to var we got to wrap this in HSL. We'll do neutral 1. And I think that should work. Although these look less than that, so who knows. Have we even used neutral 2 yet? Maybe that's neutral 2. Neutral 3? I don't know. I'm so confused with these. Let's go neutral 2. That seems better maybe. And maybe let's also do the same thing on the button. It's less intense. So let's do that, unless it's supposed to be neutral 3. No, that's too light. Okay. Back up top here, overview. We've got the color. I think that is all good. Yeah, let's take inside here. I don't have this H2 as anything yet, so how do I guess I could just style the H2, that's fine. Class, let's just call this title. We'll call this body. Our description. Oh my. What are we going to call this thing? We'll call this body text. Sure, whatever. At this point, all bets are off. We'll call this class of body text as well. And this class of let's do how about just num? I'm just making stuff up now. Okay, so let's grab the H2. Actually, let me paste these things to get them off my clipboard. And then we'll grab the average, the number, the body text randomly, this and that. Okay, whatever, that's fine. Once again, this is why people use Tailwind. All right, so in the overview, let's go ahead and just grab the overview and grab the H2 inside of that. And then here I will have this as color of HSL neutral 3. That seemed about right. And then font size is like maybe 20 pixels, 24 pixels. Something like that. Next, I've got other random things on my clipboard. Let's see, average. I think that's just this little circle right here. So here I want the background color, or the background, I guess we could do image. And here we need to do linear gradient once again. And for now, let's just do this as var gradient blue, which won't really make a difference, but because we need to switch it up, but that's fine. We'll do display of grid and gap of var space, maybe 8. Something like that. Okay, inside here, then we've got the num, which I would normally nest this probably somehow, but for right now, since I want this to work in more than just Chrome, if you play with this, I'll leave it like that. We'll go font size. I need to hurry up. This is taking me too long here, but let's go like 64 pixels. Font weight. Font weight. We'll do 800. Yeah, I think Tailwind is easy on small projects. And I think it's great on massive projects. For me, if I'm going to be constantly touching it, I just feel like I have way more control if I do normal CSS. So, but you know, I'd actually have a design system rather than just coming up with random stuff as I'm looking at this live. So that's where the planning really comes into play. But okay, body text. Mostly what I'm interested in here is neutral, like 4, maybe 3 for the color. Doesn't look quite right. That's too dark, so maybe it is that. Neutral 2. I don't know. Now I'm just making stuff up, but let's do like 0.8 maybe. Okay. Yeah, and I don't really care if you do Tailwind or this, because honestly, like the only difference is you're writing classes. I mean, there is a difference in bundle size, and like you got to really plan out CSS just to not make it crazy bloated. if I come back to a project all the time, I prefer CSS. Otherwise, I pretty much have gotten to where I prefer Tailwind because I don't have to remember how I set stuff up. But again, it's personal preference. And I don't feel like you can write good Tailwind unless you understand CSS. So if you want to write CSS, no problem with me. If you want to write Tailwind, no problem with me. But you can't write good Tailwind unless you know CSS anyhow. Let's see, this needs to be display grid, place item center, and that's this little section right here. I guess I could also just text align center as well. Let's gap var space 4. Maybe we do 8 here. Sure, that works. And then I've got the title, class, font size of like, I don't know, let's do 20 pixels, something like that. Maybe 24. Sure. Okay. And I guess what I can do is just take this, since everything's always text align center, and just drop it on the overview. That should work. And then maybe we set this body text. Where's my body? Right here. Max width here, we'll do like 30 characters maybe. And now I probably do need to have all this stuff. I guess we could just also do margin inline auto and put that in the middle that way. Let's see, a couple other comments here. Recommend trying Tailwind if you haven't before. Yep, yeah, no, I use Tailwind a lot. Maybe you're talking to somebody else. Yeah, I don't really enjoy Bootstrap. It's too restrictive. Tailwind is really good, and even if you need something that Tailwind doesn't have, you can use PostCSS. Yeah, yeah, I have no problem using Tailwind. I enjoy it. I just feel like it's too much setup for a basic project like this, and because I was trying to keep this more beginner too, I don't want to have to introduce Tailwind while I was at it. Okay, so where are we at? We've got this overview. Let's come in here to padding, and sure, something like that. Maybe we go 20 and var space 28. Yeah, I feel like I know people really like Sass, but I feel like the only way Sass is super helpful is if you build out a ton of utility classes, in which case I'd rather just use Tailwind. So personal preference, but that's kind of my preference here. Border radius. Let's see, bottom left border radius and bottom. Actually, I'll just change that later. This will be var radius full. No, that's not going to work. So let's go in here and we'll go medium here. I set this to something like 24 pixels and change this to medium. That's not quite enough, so maybe we go 32. Sure. Okay, and then we'll just do the same thing on the bottom right. Bottom right radius. Okay, I think that's pretty much set. Okay, so now let's just take the average. We'll say max width. Maybe I just set an actual height and width to this. So let's go height, which I wouldn't normally do, but maybe let's start with border radius and just see where that puts us. Var radius full. And then max width, we'll set this to fit content and see where this puts us. So could be better. All right, so let's go max width, and this is the same either way, I guess. So let's just grab this. It's 115, and we'll just hard code it in here. So now I'm going to need to add padding. So maybe let's not do that. So not yet, at least. So we'll say padding, something like that. Maybe we go 12 and 139. Let's do that. So we'll just hard code this here. 139. Not my favorite way of doing that, but that's fine. We'll do margin inline, which sets it left and right. We'll set this to auto. Oh, it's going to smash it, isn't it? So this needs to be a width. All right, a bunch of people saying stuff in the chat, so let me see. I feel like Sass will become obsolete soon. I don't know if obsolete, but at least I think it'll be less used. But yeah, new CSS features will not be compatible with browsers yet. Yes. So still be using Sass. Well, I think I'd use post CSS at that point, but that's fine too. Waiting for custom media queries in CSS, so you don't have to jump through hoops to set up open props. Yeah. I think that's coming at some point to this year. Yeah, the last couple of years have been awesome in CSS as far as people picking stuff up. Yeah. I often only like CSS because of nesting, which is why I just did a video on native CSS nesting, which you can now do in Chrome at least, and eventually in other stuff as well. So 139, is that with padding? So 115. Yeah. So that should be the same width. Why does that not look like a circle though? I guess let's just do the height the same way. Things I never do is hardcode values and set heights, and here we are doing both. So let's set this to 145. That'll work. All right, and then I guess let's set this down to like 4 or something. 2, do I even need one of these? I guess it's gonna space it out no matter what. So let's just kill that. Okay, so back inside here, we've got that set out. Let's actually get that proper gradient in here. So if I come up here, we'll do gradient, I don't know, dark, sure. And in this case, what I want is, let's do HSL. And I'm going to grab this here. I think it, well, I guess it starts up here. Yeah, we'll do this and bring this in. Okay. And here, I'll just do 0. Is it the same exact thing? Not quite. Okay. So let's do gradient dark on the average and see how that looks. Sure. Okay, so we got that set. I mean, that looks pretty close to how it's supposed to look. So I guess let's go to desktop and we'll call this thing done. Hopefully you enjoy these more casual streams. I guess I also need a shadow, but it looks like that's probably only on desktop. I know I just kind of take my time on these things, but I don't know. This is literally what I do for fun. So shows you my life. Desktop design. So here we've got a couple more things to do then. So let's first of all get this shadow thing and a border radius on everything. So that would be the card, right? So on here, we'll say border radius. This will be var radius medium. And not that you can really tell, but let's get this a little bit bigger, get rid of this. I should have a radius medium on all of that now, right? Let's do background color of like red or something right now. Okay, so yeah, I do actually have that. I do probably just need to say, I think overflow hidden, and that will wrap all that, I think. But I can't do that because then I can't have that box shadow, so never mind. So we'll just set it like that, and then I also need to grab that top card, whatever that was called, overview, and do the same thing. So radius medium on that. Border radius, let's just copy this down. All right, so then it's set on everything. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. Let's go back over here. Does that look right? I mean, mostly. I guess it's probably a little wide. So I'll do 600 pixels. 650. This is where having the actual Figma file would be really helpful. Let's also just set the grid template columns, we'll do like 1 fraction and 1.3 fractions. So it takes up a little bit more space, 1.2 fractions. 1.1. All right, I'm just randomly doing stuff now, but this gap between these two might be a little bit too big too, so we can work on that. So do I have a gap? Yeah. Let's go 24. Let's go 20. Sure. Something like that. What else do I got over here? I mean, that's mostly fine. It looks like this still needs a little bit more space. So now that I've set this fraction, maybe that will work. I don't know, something like that. Let's keep it more there. I think that's fine. Maybe this is supposed to be bigger, 850. Something like that. I just keep saying something like that. Let's go up to medium. And let's reduce this a touch. That seems now not enough. So maybe I need to make it bigger. Okay, let's go ahead and put this thing in the middle. So we'll say the main here. Let's grab the main on media queries. So we'll grab this main and say min height, 100 view height. And then this card also is going to need a box shadow. And here we want 0, 0, but probably like, man, I don't know, 20 pixels. And then we'll say neutral 4, which is extreme. Let's go like 0.2 and check this out. Not quite. So maybe we go neutral 2, neutral 3, and bump this up. Let's go 50% and increase this to like 40. Again, I don't have the Figma file, so I'm just kind of making this up, but that looks okay to me. It looks like this might need to be actually down a little bit. So like 10 pixels down. And maybe it's actually over a little bit too, so like 5 pixels over. All right, so that is on desktop. This is on mobile. Snaps to there. I wonder why. This is overflowing. So I have this width, max width of that. So maybe I actually need to increase this to more like 850 or something. I'll just leave it small until we get there, and then eventually it snaps off. That works, I think. And then do I have any padding at all? I guess I can also do some padding here of our like space. 20, something like that. All right, let's see. Oh, a lot more comments. Okay, let's see if there's anything anybody's asking me. It's totally fine if you guys are just chatting. Okay, I'm not seeing any particular questions to finish up the expense app. It's cool. Plan to make a video talking about the new features of React Router that you didn't use in that app. Maybe at some point, but since I just did that video, I probably won't do another React Router one for a little bit. But yeah, are there particular features that you're interested in? Okay, so I think this is pretty much done. We've got hover states, we've got focus states that they didn't even ask for. These are all calculated. So I guess the only other thing I might do here is just separate out some of this stuff just to show you how it works. So do math. Did I already do the math here? Average formatted. Oh, I already did the math. Excellent. So yeah, let's maybe extract some of these things out. So this could be like the top component right here. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. You can either import this data into each individual file, which I never actually set this up with TypeScript, but I guess we'll just kill that now since it doesn't even reflect the live data. So yeah, let's just extract this out and actually have the data call be in each of those individual files as well. So what I'll do is inside the SRC, I'm going to create a components directory, components, and then we'll call this like overview. .astro. And what I'm going to do is extract all of this right here. And you can actually pass in stuff if you'd like to. So I could have, actually usually you, by convention, you capitalize these. Overview. At least I think that's what I do. I've gotten confused now because I'm using so many other random frameworks. But I can basically pull this in. And let's see. Yeah, here it goes. So here's components. I'll just add a little comment here. Components. And you can see that it's pulled in this overview component, which right now has nothing in it, but like I could have add a paragraph that said like hi. All right, and now you get hi pulling in up there. However, what I want to do is drop in all of this. You can see the average formatted though. I can either do it in the top of the overview file, or I can pass this down if I want to as well. So in that case, I would come down here and pass in like average, and this would be average formatted. And then I could destructure that over here. So const av from astro.props, oops, equals astro.props, not an import. And then here I could just type in av. And you can see that that actually pulls in this value right here, and it's basically passing that prop. The other way to do it is to actually have it declared everywhere you're using it. So like grab all this here. It's kind of weird that I had this above, so let's do that. So maybe let's do that because that's probably what I would do if I was actually doing this from scratch. So I would do something more like this. And I think that import statement should still be the same. And then this would be this again. Hopefully this is making sense. I know I'm kind of going quickly here, but this would, oh, I've got an average format here too. Well, we'll figure that out. Oh no, that's the prop I passed. Okay. So that works. And now we just need to extract all this to its own component too. Right here. So for now, I'll just save that. But now you can see that this has all of its own self-contained data, essentially. So yeah, let's actually just create another one. We'll call this like summary.astro. I think I capitalized these. I can't remember now. Maybe I don't. I just think I do. Let me also then pull in this. So we'll just grab the same import statement. And this is all imported on build, so it's not like you're wasting time or anything like that, like for the client. So it's just whatever is at the top of those files is done on build in Astro. Unless you're, I guess if you're doing like server-side routing, it would do it live. But so now you can see I've extracted those into their own components. I could also, again, extract this whole thing into a layout, but you can see how now it's a little bit more precise here on the index page, and I can just command click into these to check them out or open them up in the sidebar. Well, anyhow, I hope that was helpful for you. Are you not using TypeScript? I set it up and then I bailed hard because I only needed it for one thing, and for whatever reason my brain wasn't working. I didn't remember what the problem was, but hopefully this doesn't totally kill the stream. But thanks for joining me today. Now the camera's super fuzzy on top of all that, but hope you enjoyed that. Let's see, not using, Astro components are Pascal case. Okay. You're back. Icon pack he's using. I am using bearded icons, I think. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions, so I think I'm going to call that good. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope it was a semi-help to you, but I will chat with you next time. Got more videos coming out next week. All right. We'll see you later.